When I watched Toy Story 2 as a kid, I was so enthralled by Jessie that I forced everyone in my family to refer to me by her name. In elementary school, I stood in front of the bathroom mirror, tucked my penis between my legs, and thought, nice. As soon as I learned that Raven-Symoné was a cheetah girl, I wanted to be one as well. In 4th grade, we were all assigned journal entries to fill out. And one of the journal entries was, if you had the choice, would you want to stay the gender that you are now? Or would you want to change? And the other 20 or so kids in class said, yeah, I would want to stay the same. But I was the only kid who was like, yeah, let's give being a girl a shot. What's important to realize is that all of these examples and then some occurred before I even had the language or understanding of what a trans person was. I still wanted to be one, I just didn't have the terminology for it. My first introduction to words like gay or trans or bisexual were cast in a negative light. So while I understood the definition in isolation, once the words were introduced to me in that context, I was like, oh, this is bad, and I don't want to be that. I want to be normal, like you guys. I swear, I'm normal, I promise. So maybe I just need to push that down. Because I want to be normal, I want to be liked, I want to be accepted by everyone. When I say haha funny thing, I want people to say, haha, that thing funny. When I get good grade on test, I want people to say, oh, good job on being smart. When I hit ball real hard and get lots of points, I want people to cheer and applaud. When I pretend to be straight and cis, I want to be accepted. So yeah, during my teenage years, the feelings of being trans fell off a bit. Bisexuality definitely came back in a strong way, but being trans took a while. Yeah, I really got into it on Gender Bender Day one year, and yeah, I really was upset when they canceled Gender Bender Day the next year, but that's normal, right? I haven't spent my entire life wanting to look more like a girl, but I have spent most of my truthful life wanting to look like a girl. It's commonly said that we spend our childhoods rushing to grow up, and our adulthoods trying to reconnect with who we were as children. Child me was so enamored by skateboarding and playing chess, making videos, writing, reading, and being feminine. And so far in the past few years, I've done all of the former, and I am finally now in the process of realizing that I also want to do the last thing on that list. When all of the other interests I had as a kid make me happy, I think it would be foolish to assume that just because the last thing is kind of complicated, that it would make me any less happy. So of course I'm going to do it. Of course I'm going to transition. So yeah, I've decided to go on HRT. As of filming this, this version of me right now has 2 days on HRT, and this version of me has been taking estrogen and testosterone blockers for 29 days. I've almost completed my first month, which is very exciting. The last couple of days, I've been so much more aware of every second I'm living, mostly because I'm trying to feel changes, even though changes don't occur within 48 hours. But I also just know that I'm really about to enjoy this process. With that being said, there are a few things I'll miss about presenting to the world as male. And things that I will be afraid of once I start to look more feminine. Not only am I going to be transitioning from presenting male to presenting female, I'm also going to be transitioning from presenting as one of the most under-sexualized demographics in the world, Asian men alongside black women, to presenting as one of the most over-fetishized demographics in the world, which would be Asian women. And suffice to say that while I have been the subject of sexual harassment as someone who presents male, I've never experienced it often enough to have become accustomed to it or to have developed a coping mechanism for it. And I've lived 25 years without really having to worry that much about being assaulted, although being a 115-pound Asian in America within the last few years, especially during COVID, has made me come to terms with the idea that I would lose a fight if it came down to it. My odds of being on the receiving end of violence will actually increase by 4 times as I transition. Additionally, outside of just being trans, presenting as a woman comes with its own host of background radiation. The medical field takes the symptoms of women far less seriously than they do for men. Women's expertise and experience are questioned far more than men's. Rates of harassment, sexual violence, and assault are much higher for women. Car crashes are deadlier for women because when car accidents are tested, they're tested on dummies with male bodies. If you're ugly, you're demonized for not living up to unrealistic beauty standards, and if you're too hot, you are then constantly harassed and sexualized without your permission. It just seems like a lot to get used to, and I have not lived a life that will prepare me for that. With that being said, there certainly are tribulations associated with presenting as male. Men typically don't win custody battles. Men are often isolated and feel like they can't speak about their emotions and end up feeling very alone and have higher rates of suicide as a result. The social support that men want to be able to receive is often absent, and the substitute is often just, hey, tough it out, be a man. But now the lifetime of experience I've acquired as someone who presents male is going to become useless. Also, I work at a liquor store, and approximately like once every month or two, I get a male customer who just swings for the fences by walking in through the front door and immediately saying something misogynistic. I had a guy who came in whose response to me asking, "How was your day?" was the words, "Why are women so weird?" I had a guy come in with his wife and presumably daughter, and when his wife was taking, in his mind, too long to pick out an item, he turned to me, the stranger, and was like, "Woman, can't live with them." As if like one moment of appearing to be male together could unify us against, like his family. There was a guy who came in with his girlfriend, joked to me in front of her audibly that he was going to leave her for a younger girl, then tried to convince me that I would too, and once I said no because I actually love my girlfriend and am not a creep, he then tried to further press the matter and talk to me about how much better and hotter younger women are, once again in front of his girlfriend. His final hypothetical was what if it was a girl, a 19-year-old girl with percolating titties, which doesn't mean what he thinks it means. And the one thing I can do in conversations with these men as someone who's currently presenting masculine is push back a little bit. Because as unfortunate as it is, they're going to listen to someone who presents male more than they're going to listen to a woman. Even if that person who presents male is someone they just met, and even if that woman is someone they've known for their entire lives or who they intend to spend the rest of their life with. Which is unfortunate, but it's a valuable tool in any male feminist toolbox while it still exists. And while I'll be able to convey those same points nonetheless, very soon it just won't have the same weight behind it. Also, as I begin to present more feminine, the night shifts that I work alone at the liquor store have definitely become a lot less fun. There's also a lot I take for granted as someone who has male anatomy. I like being able to have muscle mass that is just sort of there that I don't have to work hard for. I like being able to casually lift suitcases or lift my body weight over a fence as I flee from the cops. And it's going to require a lot more effort for me to be this casually strong once I start losing muscle mass because of hormones. Also, taking estrogen can increase my chances of getting blood clots or a stroke. My hair and nails will become more fragile. My skin will become thinner and weaker as a result. My penis, which I do plan on keeping, will become smaller on hormones, and I don't have much wiggle room. And on a more personal note, my girlfriend, who I've been dating for 2 years and living with for 1, and who I love very much and have discussed marriage and children with, is straight and not really attracted to women or female bodies. And we've discussed the possibility of having to potentially break up over this. Not because we will stop loving each other, but because physical attraction is an important part of any relationship. It's usually what starts the conversation that leads to a relationship in the first place. And if that's not there, neither of us want the other person to have to stick around in a situation they don't want to be in anymore. If anything, it just makes our relationship like any other relationship, and that there's a possibility that it will end. And it's not as if our relationship has suddenly worsened. If anything, my girlfriend is the person who has supported me the most during this transition. She's the one who helped me with my makeup and took me out to go clothes shopping, and has helped me with my hair and cut my hair to look more feminine. And I don't think I could be transitioning as well without her. Now you might be thinking, hey, Quinn, that whole section of you having regrets and fears was very long and also comprised most of the video. Like, I tapped the screen, I've shimmied my mouse a little bit, the video is almost done. Are you sure that you want to do this? And it's funny because I'm very happy with my life and who I am right now, which seems backwards because if I'm happy, why would I want to change something else? But I think it's more important that I do this while I am already happy, and while I know for a fact that I'm not transitioning because of that constant never-ending chase for something upon the horizon. I'm transitioning because I'm happy, and I know that this will help me maintain that level of happiness. Once you're happy, you don't stop doing the things that made you happy, you keep trying new things. In addition to being happy, I also have lots of trans characters and people and creators to thank. And growing up, I didn't really have any positive trans influences to look up to. And even once I stopped being bigoted and started being an ally, trans people were still, in my mind, this unfortunate statistic. These groups of people who were kicked out of their homes and weren't accepted and were being killed by partners. And it wasn't until I grew up in recent years that I started watching ContraPoints and Icky and PhilosophyTube and Lily Alexander, that I started listening to Arca, that I started reading Saga and Light from Uncommon Stars, that I started watching Dimension 20 and became familiar with Ali Beardsley. And I started to realize that trans people can be badass as hell, and that being trans could be fantastic and great and make these people feel so powerful. And that trans people were people that I could look up to. And once that idea coalesced with the idea that maybe I am trans, this has gotten me one very important step closer to realizing something very important about myself. But yeah, that's that. I'm trans and still non-binary. I use kind of all of the pronouns. Suffice to say, I am happy. This is working out for me. I'm releasing another video soon. It'll be about the first month of me being on HRT. And then I hope the next video after that will be a non-trans, non-HRT related video. Just because I don't want this channel to become only I'm trans. I'd still want to talk about death and how to overcome our fear of it. Or maybe I'll make a new kink police. Who knows? The final piece of news I have is that I'm restarting my Patreon. Partly to recoup the losses after I made a long distance call to my dad in order to tell him that I'm going on HRT. But also because I really want to start making videos again. And the channel, this main channel, is quickly becoming a video a month type of place. But I want to make other videos and not feel hindered by the atmosphere I'm trying to create here. But yes, thank you to Alexis LaRoche Marin, Jonathan Youngblood, and Havila for sticking around after I became really inactive on YouTube and Patreon, canceled my Patreon, and then restarted things again. You guys have a lot to look forward to. I hope my tits come in, my nipples are sore, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Very obviously crying.